FBI's sick $130,000 secret out about who they paid to protect. Someone's going to prison for this. This is beyond outrageous. Apparently, the FBI, the same FBI who us taxpayers fund, and who became an additional arm for the Democrat Party and the Clintons, has now also been paying a child murderer. And paying him handsomely. It's now being reported that the head of the notorious MS-13 gang in Los Angeles, 39-year-old Jorge Palacios, became an FBI informant, even as the police was investigating him for the murder of a teenager in Elysian Park in 2001. But for some convenient reason, the case remained frozen for more than a decade. It seems the Palacios story started when he became an MS-13 gang member and took to the lawless streets of Los Angeles to show off his MS-13 tattoos and sell drugs. Shortly after, he was then arrested by police, and in an effort to not be deported back to the cesspool he came from, he agreed to collaborate with the FBI in order to remain in the U.S. Univision is reporting the FBI paid him a generous salary and several expenses in exchange for his participation in operations that overthrew more than 20 members of the gang in California and Nebraska. But it was later uncovered that his crimes went a lot further than what was originally thought. Detectives of the Los Angeles police had identified him as the man who ordered the murder of a 13-year-old girl, whose body was found naked and with 2 bullets in the head in Elysian Park on June 28, 2001. Jacqueline Piazza was raped before she was killed by 3 MS-13 gang members. This case remained unresolved for more than a decade, until now. Palacios was convicted last Friday of the murder of Piazza and could be sentenced to life in prison. His sentence has been scheduled for next April 11. Via Fox News. One of President Trump's main goals in office is to combat the notoriously violent MS-13 gang. The gang, responsible for dozens of gruesome deaths throughout the U.S., was designated a priority last year by the Department of Justice's Organized Crime Drug Enforcement Task Force. Prosecutors are able to pursue any legal avenue to target MS-13, according to Attorney General Jeff Sessions. What is MS-13? People arrested this week for being members of the MS-13 Mar Salvatrucha Street Gang, among other crimes, flashed their gang's hand sign from inside a jail cell at a police station in San Salvador October 12, 2012. The U.S. on Thursday imposed financial penalties on violent Latin American street gang MS-13, which has thousands of members operating in the U.S. and has been accused of human trafficking, kidnapping, murder, rape and other criminal activities. MS-13, whose U.S. members are mostly first-generation Salvadorian Americans or Salvadorian nationals, was added to the Obama administration's list of transnational criminal organizations, a label designed to cripple a criminal group's finances. MS-13 was started by Central American immigrants, mainly from El Salvador, in Los Angeles in the 1980s. It has expanded since to include Hondurans, Guatemalans, Mexicans and other Central and South Americans. MS-13's motto is Mata, Viola, Controla, which means kill, rape, control, according to Robert Herr, an official with the Justice Department. They seek to live up to this motto through truly shocking acts of violence designed to instill fear, vicious machete attacks, execution-style gunshots, gang rape and human trafficking. Gang members perpetuate a number of various criminal acts, according to the FBI, including murder, rape, home invasions, kidnapping, carjacking and robbery. The FBI said most of the crimes are carried out against members of rival gangs, but often innocent people are hurt as well. Is it a big threat? MS-13 recruits are middle and high school students, predominantly in immigrant communities, who are said to risk violent retribution if they leave. Authorities estimate the group has tens of thousands of members across several Central American countries and many U.S. states. MS-13's presence is higher in the western and northeastern parts of the U.S., according to the FBI. The gang is believed to be behind 25 killings on Long Island in the past 2 years. What has the Trump administration said about MS-13? Trump called on Congress to finally close the deadly loopholes that have allowed MS-13 members into the U.S. during his first State of the Union address. He also acknowledged parents of MS-13 victims, some of whom were guests of the White House for the speech, and said the country is praying for you. Trump has often blamed the Obama administration for the rise of MS-13 across the country. The gang was sanctioned as a transnational criminal organization by the Treasury Department in 2012. Trump's Justice and Homeland Security departments have made targeting the gang a top priority. Sessions instructed his department's law enforcement agencies and federal prosecutors across the country to prioritize MS-13 members' prosecution, as directed by an executive order Trump signed in February 2017. The classification of MS-13 allows some local police departments to tap into federal money to help with investigations. Suffolk County was granted $500,000 by the federal government. Trump in July 2017 visited Brentwood, New York, a town that has experienced firsthand the tragedy caused by MS-13, and pledged to push Congress for additional federal immigration agents to crack down on gang members who are in the country illegally. He also called MS-13 members animals. What are some of MS-13's more notable killings? 2 teenage girls from Brentwood, New York, were found dead after being brutally beaten and cut in September 2016. Kayla Cuevas, 16, was targeted by gang members and her friend, 15-year-old Nisa Mickens, tried to scare off the attackers, Pix TV reported. The remains of Oscar Acosta, a 19-year-old high school senior, were found in a wooded area in Brentwood in September 2016. Acosta, who had been missing for months, came to the U.S. from El Salvador and had told his mother he was worried about gangs, she told WNBC-TV. The remains of Miguel Garcia Moran were found in the same area as Acosta's in September 2016. He was 15 years old at the time of his death and had been missing since February. Police said he was the victim of a homicidal beating. Damaris Reyes Rivas, 15, was killed in January 2017 and found 1 month later buried under railroad ties. The teenager, from Gaithersburg, Maryland, was stabbed multiple times by MS-13 gang members who filmed the brutal attack. Venus Romero Irejeda, who was 17 at the time of the attack, pleaded guilty in 2018 to the murder. She told Reyes Rivas, "Don't forget my name during the slaying," Irejeda told investigators. Police in Nassau County charged Kevin Granados Correas, 19, and Carlos Portillo, 22, with second-degree murder in the killing of Julio Cesar Gonzalez Espense. Police said MS-13 gang members lured the 19-year-old with the promise of marijuana and sex before they hacked him to death in a park. Gonzalez Espense was not a gang member, police said. Prosecutors said Christian Villagrán Morales was stabbed more than 153 times in a Maryland park. Juan Gutierrez Vasquez took part in the 2016 killing, holding down the victim while other gang members took turns stabbing him, prosecutors said. Gutierrez Vasquez pleaded guilty and was sentenced to 40 years in prison. Vanessa Alvarado, who was accused of luring Morales to the park, was also sentenced to 40 years in jail. The bodies of 4 young men, ranging in ages from 16 to 20, were found in April 2017 in a park in Century Islip, New York. Police said all had signs of significant trauma. Justin Livacura, 16, Michael Lopez Benegas, 20, Jefferson Villalobos, 18, and Jorge T. Gray, 18, were reportedly lured to the park by 2 women associated with MS-13 before they were ambushed by more than a dozen gang members armed with wooden clubs and machetes. Angel Soler was 15 years old when he went missing in July 2017. His body was found a few months later in the Roosevelt hamlet of Long Island, police said. Soler was hacked to death with a machete as he was attacked by a group of people, police said. Several MS-13 members have been indicted or charged in connection to his murder.